I tried recording this morning. I was out, had the privilege, so thankful to have started my work week with a mountain run this morning. And the impetus for this video was, oh my gosh, how am I going to feel on this run? And well, who cares? Or that happens all the time, or what? Why is this any different? Well, I have been eating clean for a week and a half, and we can break down more in the future what that means, like clean, but eating like really clean. And which, I've eaten well. I'm known for, I definitely have a reputation for eating healthily, although I like my donuts, ice cream, bread pudding, a good croissant, good baguette. And I feel no guilt or shame about that. And lots in there that we can unpack about any of those topics. But as a physical therapist, I'm like heading out, I'm going running, and I want to see how I'm going to feel, because it's been a week and a half, and surprisingly, my energy's been really high. I have been thinking a lot about food. I have to do a lot more with food because I can't just grab things and go. I'm, in the grocery store more. We just have like produce all over our kitchen counters and refrigerators and surfaces. But it's been fun, and I can get more into that, and it's been really creative. And then I can tell this is like the beginning of something new. Okay, so it's the beginning of something new. But and I'd done one. I do like a weekly long run, and the long run is whatever's long for me at the time. So today I was gonna do, especially with a work week, don't have the freedom to go super long. I was like 8 miles sounds really reasonable. I'd done, kind of 8 to 10 the last couple of weeks. That's kind of where I'm at. And just coming out of pandemic, like super slow, like generally having to do a lot of walking intervals and the up. So a lot of times it's kind of like hiking up, like running down. And but it's so beautiful to get out. These are like my beauty seeking times. So my phone wasn't working this morning, so I'm recording it now, which is wonderful because that helped me just be more in the moment. But I had this just positivity, this energy. I was so excited about this run. And just curious about how this run was going to feel. I didn't have expectations, but it just occurred, how am I going to feel? Whoa, I went on the run. I just haven't had a run like that. I mean, I have runs. The reason I go to the mountains to run is because it's just incredible. It's beautiful. Like, see, lizards and wildflowers and bunny rabbits and trees and clouds and vistas and sunsets. And I don't know if I've been up running in the sunrise yet, but see the early morning light. It's just like wonderful, right? It's just wonderful. Feel the breeze, feel the sun. So it's always great, but usually there's like a work, and that's great because the work keeps a part of my brain busy that needs to be busy, like working, and then that frees me up, and it's so healthy and therapeutic and integrated and even spiritual. So I love my weekly runs. But today just felt effortless. Nobody's going to say that I was fast, but I ran up the mountain the majority of the time, not just on the level, not just on the downhill. Like, I was moving on the way up, and I wasn't having to tell myself to, push hard and dig deep, and which, for the most part, I'm just trying to be out and be in my body and be in the moment, and that's what I like to help people do. So I want to tell you more about just eating clean. I hope this inspires you in some way. I've wanted to eat clean. And P.S. I'll share some of those photos if I haven't already in the video. So I took some snaps, even though the video wasn't working. I still got some stills. So I've eaten, Well, I've always been an omnivore and always advocated for eating things. And I was for a long time, people were down on carbs, and I was just like, all food is good. Don't put values on different foods. But I have a separate video where I, have this confessional about back pain that I had, and it wasn't resolving after 3 weeks of me just being a good therapist. And there wasn't like a good story even of like why I had the back pain. I was modifying my activity, doing exercises and just being good in the movement sense. And then it was just like I'd lay down in bed and my back is just like achy, like it won't go away. I can't get comfortable. And that's a classic sign of inflammation when the pain is just kind of constant and always there and doesn't matter what you do because the chemicals are still there. And so you want to manage that differently. And part of how you can manage that is with diet. My husband, when I was dealing with that back pain, I'd lay down and I'd be like rolling around and complaining, I guess, or just letting him know that I had some back pain, even though it wasn't severe. It's just annoying. Like, how am I going to get to sleep? I can't get comfortable because I have this awareness and this discomfort. And he would suggest I take ibuprofen, and I would on occasion, and I would feel better. Another sign of inflammation, okay, if ibuprofen is working for you. So inflammation can come from a lot of reasons. From a physical therapy perspective, musculoskeletal pain, kind of recent injury, it can be just because you're being too hard on your body. You might not have enough strength, you might not have enough control, you might just be doing too much. The ergonomics of something or your posture of something might be set up. So we can do a ton of things movement-wise. You may just be too static and you need to move more. So it can help you out with that and understanding that. But there's things that we can do dietarily-wise that either make us more inflamed or less inflamed. And inflammation is not bad. Okay, inflammation is not bad. Inflammation is how our body heals. It's how it responds to an injury. So inflammation tells us our body is trying to deal with something. So, but it can get like out of whack. And so the typical diet in the U.S. is terribly pro-inflammatory. So I had done a lot of work with that. I had made changes ever since my back pain. I had that. One of the times my husband said after 3 weeks, he said, you need to take ibuprofen. I was just like, oh, it does help. Oh, yes, this is a classic pattern. Obviously, it was like me, and I get caught up in it versus when I'm working with a patient. I was dealing with inflammation. So what else could I do to help with inflammation? And diet was one of the things I hadn't done. We were living in Portland at the time. We had just relocated up there. And so I wasn't eating quite as well. I wasn't eating bad, but I would grab, eat cereal. I would eat like little snack cereal bars or just carbs are just packaged up like easier, kind of ready to go. So I was eating more of that than normal. But nobody would probably say that I was eating bad, or not nobody, but most people wouldn't say I was eating poorly. But I think those kind of things combined. And so I went just like boom, like no carbs. And I was just going to do it for like a week or something and see. Within 24 hours, my pain was gone. So I cut out the carbs and I went pro-anti-inflammatory. So not just taking away the things that cause inflammation, but I added in things that help regulate. And ever since then, I've maintained those in my diet. So things I went and got. Fish oil supplements. I started taking those everywhere. There was flaxseed supplements too, and capsules I took as well. I got milled flaxseed and started, instead of putting in granola in my yogurt, I put chia. I make this really lovely chia and flaxseed parfait, and I put whatever fruit that I want to at the time in there, and sometimes little nuts, and it's delicious. And so ever since that time now, I'm not just like, eat everything. I'm much more careful about carbs because I've seen how it felt in my body. And not that I don't eat carbs, but there were days, where maybe I would have cereal for breakfast, and then you have a sandwich, and then you have pizza at night. It's just like a lot of carbs. It's just out of balance. And so now I'm just aware that if I'm going to have pizza at night, I just need to... So I eat a lot more nuts and greens and proteins. I do a lot of dairy in my diet. So for some people, dairy is inflammatory. It doesn't seem to bother me. That I've found out. I'm from Wisconsin, born and bred, and gotten along really well with a lot. We go through a lot of milk and cheese in my house, if not ice cream. So I'd been doing that for years, and what I did this time, like my final kind of frontier, and it's not final because this is always a journey, but our body is always telling us what to do, and or it's giving us information. It's not really telling us what to do. It's giving us information that we need to be curious about, and that's what I think I do a lot as a physical therapist is help people interpret what their body is saying to them, because people don't know, is this a good pain? Is this a bad pain? It's kind of sore when I do this. Is that okay? I'm kind of stiff after I do that. Is that okay? So our body's always talking to us. And what is it saying? So I didn't know for a while. I had done so many things, caffeine I was really aware of, the effect of alcohol on me I was very well aware of, and based on how it affected me, I knew I could make good decisions to what I like to do is I like to feel good. So I make most of my decisions to feel really healthy and feel really good. And so I'd done all these things, but one thing I didn't really know about was sugar. Sugar has always been part of my life. My mom always made, we grew up when we had balanced meals, always had vegetables, but it was very Midwest, like meat, potato, a carb, and then we always had dessert. So I always just had dessert, always had affinity for that. I had two brothers. We always just fought for who could get seconds before, the pie ran out or the brownies or whatever. So that's just like rooted in me to have something sweet, typically fatty as well, to end a meal. And it used to be really big portions. So when I was in my teens and 20s, really dealt with like portion control and kind of emotional eating and disordered eating, not such that I ever needed professional help with, but I think, excuse me, homemade latte, need a little more. I think every female in the U.S. and a lot of males, if not, deal with disordered eating too. And so I was in my 20s in college, trying to be adult, trying to figure things out, and the pressure of trying to, who am I going to be, like relationships, like living on my own, like feel like you got to graduate and be somebody right away. Family stresses, all those kind of things. Food was like a comfort for me, and but I learned also in my 20s to, that it's not going to be the last time I see a chocolate chip cookie, and so I can eat it, enjoy it, and know that I'll be able to come back to it. And I also dealt with just more extremes. I would eat like just crazy. There was like a guilt and shame around food, and I worked through that. Haven't had that in quite some time, but with the pandemic, things kind of came back, kind of reminiscent, not in any way, but I was like, oh wow, food. I haven't sought out food like this for comfort like since my early 20s, and I didn't have shame and guilt associated with it like I did then, but there's this familiarity, and I knew that I wasn't eating as healthy as I could because, damn, this pandemic has been hard. Really kind of take me down. This winter was really, really rough. It's just been really hard to see people not care for one another during this, and obviously there's a lot of people caring for one another, but there's a lot of us not taking care of each other, and that just about broke me. So more carbs, there's times it's just like, that fresh baked Trader Joe's cookie is really good, so I'm going to eat 4 of them instead of 2. I'm going to make 2, and then I'm going to eat 2 of the dough balls first, so maybe you can relate to that. I got really good at my grandma's waffle recipe and banana bread, and a colleague's banana bread recipe, and kind of made them my own over this break. So carbs, yum. We have awesome baguettes just down the hill from us. Thankfully, thank you LA for finally getting some good bread companies. So I was dealing with all that, and then what helped me go so there's that pandemic. A year ago, before the pandemic started, I bought a journal, and I was going to do this hard work of just write down everything I eat, everything I drink, and then I was going to write down how I felt. Did I sleep well? Did I feel sluggish? Was I irritable? Like, how did I feel exercising? Did I have a headache? Was my stomach upset? Did I have any like sinus issues? Like any sort of things that I kind of noticed, and I thought I was going to have to like highlight and do like this whole scientific thing to figure out how I felt, because we eat so many things, we do so many different things that affect how we feel. How was I going to figure out what sugar like meant in my life? And so I wasn't going to do an elimination diet, because that's one way to do it. I was just going to just do what I do and just observe it and kind of see. And so I bought a journal January 2020 specifically for this. Had sought it out, looked for a journal, found one I thought would work to hold the notes, and then and then pandemic. I was sick in February, busy in January, sick in February, and I only got like a few entries in that journal. Fast forward to now, April, late May or late March, early April, 2021, and had an incident with my ear that impacted like my hearing. And as I'm trying to figure all that out, and I was thinking before I even made it into the physician, like, I should just go really anti-inflammatory right now in my diet, and like, hardcore, and like see how that feels, because it can be so medicinal. It can be so medicinal to be just really, really clean in your eating, and you don't have to do it long term, but just really do it. So that's what I'm in the middle of. I have this external force that took care of all the motivation for me. That's like, oh, my hearing is like no joke. I want to be able to hear. If you think there's some inflammation around my ear, I'm gonna eat like this. And note to self and to you, it wasn't the physician that recommended this. I brought it up to him, and he just like shrugged it off. I'm taking some corticosteroids. I don't feel really great about it, because there's pretty powerful side effects with corticosteroids, prednisone. But they are powerful anti-inflammatories, so physicians rely on them a lot. Unfortunately, are not very educated in gut health and integrated living, and so he just kind of shrugged off the what if I eat anti-inflammatory. And based on the time, and like, I was just like, okay, I'm going to do everything. So right now I don't know how much is steroid, how much is because it can actually make you be a little bit for some people. They can have difficulty sleeping and things on prednisone, because it has a hormonal impact. So I don't really know, but I'm eating clean, and let me just tell you, I'm just not needing as much sleep, but I'm not yawning in the morning. I'm not, that run today felt so good. I'm productive, but I'm resting too. I'm taking good quality rest time. So that is the inner, like my excitement right now about eating clean and how it feels, and how it relates to physical health. So much more we can talk about with this, but maybe it's a little impetus for you. I just want to share it for whoever might be interested in this. So what is clean eating right now? It just means like no desserts. I'm just making different things, like buying all kinds of produce. Like, I do smoothies regularly, and I made a beet turmeric, what else is in there? Blueberries, pomegranate juice, some plain yogurt, kale. It was good, but it's not something I would have always wanted. But now I'm so much more sensitive to flavors, because I'm not like getting punched in the face with these refined sugars that are just so harsh and bland, that you just like need so much. And so now I can taste all the subtleties and things. Made a delicious mustard vinaigrette, ahi tuna, feta cheese, goat cheese, pepita seed salad the other day. It's like causing me to be connected to food. I made a delicious farm-raised egg, veggie burger, breakfast bowl with bok choy on it, and time from the garden, just learning how to do things and these are all brand new recipes that I just made up on my own in a 24-hour period, and they were all delicious, and I all feel really good. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully my bloating and things hopefully gets figured out. But super excited. Can't believe how good that run felt. Thanks for watching. Let me know what questions you have. Really want to help you live your healthiest life. If there's any way that I can do that, let me know, whether that's creating more content for you, tutorials, coming in for some physical therapy, getting some coaching on how to live your healthiest life. A lot of that is just knowledge of what to do. A lot of it is just behavior, though, and beliefs, and having a coach and somebody to help you along the way, and that's something that I can help with. Thanks so much. This is Elle, signing off. Thank you for watching this video from Artisan Physical Therapy. Make sure to subscribe to get the latest videos and educational resources. You can visit our website, www.artisanphysicaltherapy.com, and we're on Instagram at Artisan Physical. Our goal here is to partner with you to help you live your healthiest life.